We fucked up. It's May the 21st, 2014. This is about Unit 4 at Fukushima. We are live streaming at Beautiful Girl by Dana on YouTube. And we're waiting right now for the stream to show up on my other end so I can make sure the audio is working. And we say hi to everybody. I'm not even going to try. Hang on. I'm still caught up in my mess here. Potassium iodine tablets won't work now. No, because you'll ingest it, right? Hi, War Prophets. Okay, we're in good shape. We're streaming. Good audio. Hi, Jake. Fans Filtration. Hey, bud. Thank you for what you're doing. David, Mr. I Can See. I see Grandma Goldie's got a Facebook video up there. We got In HD. Hi, Rinarel. Hi, Kate. And Kate's got Fukushima Hounds chat room down below. It's not my site, it's Kate's site. But it's a really good spot if you're trying to learn about Fukushima and you're looking for like-minded people. Hi, Laurie. Weeping Willows. You'll find a link to Kate's site below, Fukushima Hounds. And you'll find Kate in the chat right now. We are live streaming. You see the chat to your left-hand side, scrolling alongside the video. That means we are live. Original Punisher. Jerry, Sean ain't home. Once again, Weeping Willow, Rinarel, Janet, Cat's Alive. And I'll just spend a couple of minutes before we start the stream and say hi to a few people, just so I can make sure everything is synced up and working proper. Looks really good. MSVS, Wannabe, Live, 24, Original Punisher, Amthers, Franz, Soul Luna, John Townsend. We're going to start streaming here in a few minutes. We're just saying hi to everybody. And we're almost finished with that now. Candace, I'll just say hi, Grouchy, Michael, Mass Sterilization. Miss Milky's here. We'll find a link below to Miss Milky, the Clown One. And she's an absolute sweetheart who has worked tirelessly for the community to get this information out there. I'll move a little bit closer. I still got the echo in my headphones. We got no webcam again. I did get a webcam, and it just tortured me all day long. Okay, I never had my audio turned up. I was afraid. I was talking to myself. Hi, Radioactive Banana. Thank you. You're so kind. Everybody, let's jump right in here. And the first picture you're looking at, that's Fukushima. After the big hoo-ha they had down there. Now, tonight is a little bit different than last night, or a lot different. Some of the same. Corrosion is weakening Fukushima Unit number 4. Corrosion is weakening Fukushima Unit number 4. I wanted to repeat that one because there's a concern to quake to topple the structure. And it holds approximately 14,000 Hiroshima bombs worth of cesium-137. Now, the reactors don't run on cesium. They run on uranium and plutonium. Mostly uranium-238. And so there's a hell of a lot to worry about. And that's why we're here again tonight. That's why you're here tonight and tomorrow and the next day trying to work this out because you're having difficulties finding credible information. And what we're going to show you tonight is authentic, it's credible, and it's very vetted and sourced. And I go through a whole lot of trouble to make sure I don't make a mistake, because that gets used to destroy me and beat me up and bludgeon me, basically, which is what I do to the other people if I catch them doing it. And so it's all fear. Well, unless you're in Japan. These people are desperate for you to speak out and use your voice. As it is. As it is. Let me just run by. You had an earthquake down there, and then you had a tsunami come running through that place. Now, they went in there, and they tried dropping boric acid from helicopters. At Chernobyl, there was over 600 helicopter pilots died 600. That could be your loved ones, your friends, your families, your children, just as easily as somebody else's. And I'm sure before this video makes its final day on Google, somebody like that would watch this video. And that's why it's important that we are accurate. And so 600 pilots from Fukushima paid a vicious price, their life, vicious cancers, horrible deaths, by going in there and trying to stop Chernobyl. It was 1/3 the size of Fukushima. Chernobyl was a 30% meltdown. The reactors are 1/3 the size, and it was a 30% meltdown. Fukushima was 100% meltdowns. Now, they also had detonations at Fukushima like Chernobyl, but Fukushima's reactors, this is reactor 1 coming up, that was a 100% meltdown. 100%. The fuel pools are in desperate mode. They can't get in and do anything because of the x-rays and the neutrons in that building. Outside of it was over 1 million sievers, and 500 sievers would kill you. This is Unit 2. Unit 2 looks pretty good. It's intact, but it's in critical life support. You can never get in there, not in your lifetime certainly. And it's a 100% meltdown. The fuel pool caught on fire. They had a detonation just like Unit 1. Once again, that's Unit 1. And then you got Unit 3 coming up. Unit 3 was 100% again. That's 3 100% meltdowns. Reactors. These are 3 times the size of Chernobyl. And 100% meltdowns. On top of that, Chernobyl was a 30% meltdown. It's important that you have that kind of context, because it took forever to put all this together because of all the lying and manipulating and deception that's going on. What you're looking at is Building 4. That caught fire. And obviously, it had better days. That was a 10-story building, and it detonated. And then the fuel pools caught fire a couple of times. And what they're doing is we're putting water perpetually on that reactor. And so because of that, it's going to run all over the ground. And so the ground has liquefaction. And for a very, very long time, that has been a major concern, that they are turning the ground into quicksand. And the engineers are, this was August 13th, 2013. The engineers had warned that this kind of event would jeopardize not only number 4, but all the reactors on that site. So this is a very, very troubling scenario where we have the video from Fukushima, or the video that we done last night on Reactor 4. It was a nighttime shot. That video was 3 minutes long, but it's times 20. So what they do is they condense it. So the video actually represents an entire hour. And so what I done today was I expanded that video. I made a mistake last night. Now, I did say it was 3 minutes long, which it was, but it's actually an hour long. And so you got to expand that 20 times, and then you can start to see the fire. Now, the fire didn't race as fast as it did in the 3-minute video, and you'll find a link below to TEPCO's website to the webcam. But the fire that I see when I went through it today distinctly is around 30 minutes. It's a fire, and it looks like it's around 1,800 feet long. Unit 4, it's on the other side of Unit 4 now. That could be Unit 4. That could very well be the tanks. That could be the fuel storage extra pool they got there. And of course, it could be Unit 4. Now, Unit 4 doesn't look like that no more. They went in there with cranes, and they ripped that building apart with cranes. You won't see anybody in there with scaffolds. You won't see anybody in there with cutting torches. You ain't going to see anybody in there with a measuring tape and sitting there out there on a beam at lunch hour eating a watermelon and a sandwich. Because most of the people there are homeless. They can't read or write. Dysfunctional on the best of days. Drunk most of the time. High and everything else. And these are the souls who are put in charge of the most dangerous thing on this planet. Because the scientific community is full of cowards. It's full of traitors and manipulators who won't dare take a homeless person's job at Fukushima. you're asking for death. It's a death sentence. In Chernobyl, they went out on the roof of Masha, which is one of the worst buildings there, where there was rods, pieces of, well, they didn't use rod, they used, they used rods, but they used graphites. Excuse me, hang on a second. And they went out there for 15 or 20 seconds, and they threw small pieces, because you'd pick it up. The neutrons in the X-rays would hammer you to death. And the idea was to spread out the radiation doses in increments over 600,000 people. So they conscripted 600,000 soldiers at Chernobyl. This was 1/3 the size of any of the reactors at Fukushima. This was a 30% meltdown at Chernobyl, where Fukushima was 100% meltdowns. So we need to get all that information into everybody, because right now a lot of people are showing up and they have never seen my videos and they're not tuned into what's going on. And we're using links from E&E News, and they link over to to whoever had the story originally. So they're no different than Drudge Report. They're no different than you. They're no different than anybody else. They link over to whoever is got the story. 100% release of Unit Number 4 spent fuel pool assumed in the NRC analyst. 50% of Unit 3 pool. And once again, Unit 4, these are important headlines. Unit 4, you can see the number actually on that particular picture. That was a cropped picture. Hi, Zoe. That was a cropped picture. And I want you to see this headline here. Nuclear expert, iodine-131 in number 4 pool suggests that the spent fuel pool has started its own chain reaction. This was April the 15th, 2011. This was a month and 4 days after the accident. The accident happened on March 11, 2014. And so Building 4 has been in absolute death mode since then, obviously, right? Look at this picture. And I'm going to give you a contract, and you got to go in there, and I want you to take that building, and I want you to make it look like that on the inside. Now, I want you to think about the fact that that building detonated itself, and the buildings around it detonated, right? So if you're just joining it, it was Building 1 detonated. Building 2 you're looking at, it still looks like it's in good shape, but it's not. You could never get inside that in your lifetime. You will die trying to get in there. Building 3, 100% meltdown. That was a 10-story building. A couple of stories look like it's left below. It's full of rubble. The core sank down into itself. The fuel pools are missing. Just a fuel pool that is missing on that reactor, even if it wasn't MOX fuel, that's right alongside of number 4. In the right-hand corner of this picture is Unit 4. It's right alongside of that. And the projectiles, and I'm telling you this for a reason, because the projectiles from Unit 3, the melted, smashed up thing you're looking at, that also smashed into Unit 4. And we're talking about hundreds of thousands of rods that have what's known as zirconium cladding. And if that is not sitting in water, what happens is it catches fire, and it releases what's known as noble gases. And the noble gases are extraordinarily volatile. They're almost like a nuclear detonation. Now, all nuclear plants leak into your community, but we're not going to really cover that tonight. We're working on Unit 4. Once again, here's Unit 4. Unit 4 is at the top of the 4 reactors. And let me get, I lost my track here. Oh, yeah, okay. Now, Unit 4, once again, here, have a really good look at that. Now, I want you to go inside of it and tell me it looks like that. Well, Seth Dorn from CBS will do that for you. Where's Seth? Oh, let's play Seth. He's there somewhere. I had to redo everything today, so you have to give me a moment. It's been a very, very long day trying to get this one done. I got no idea what I got done with it. I'll run into it in the next few minutes, I'm sure. Let's keep going with the headlines. Now, that's, if you're just joining us, the picture you're looking at is supposed to be inside of this building. So these are both considered the same pictures, and I don't know how. I got no concept of how they done that. Does anybody have any friggin' idea how you went from that building to this building? When it's destroyed, it's full of rods, it's full are the most toxic thing on this planet, the most dangerous thing on this planet, the most carcinogenic thing. That the elements from this don't exist on the moon. The elements from this don't exist from the sun. The sun doesn't create these elements. Our periodic tables and our universe does not have the isotopes that are in that building, in these reactors. These are man-made. When we say the words man-made, that's exactly what I mean. Mad, M-A-D, made is more like it. And that's what makes this so scary and dangerous and tricky, is they equate it with insignificant, normal, indigenous, stupid, everyday background radiation to deceive you. And so now we reach this point where Unit 4, a sustained fire, would mean that they can't get back on that site, right? Unit 4 had a major impulse sound and damage to the roof. This was March the 14th, 2011. And a fire was seen hours later. So once again, that's what they were talking about, that building there. And so obviously it had a detonation. Obviously it had fires. Obviously that is, wasteland. That's like Chernobyl. Think about what they've done at Chernobyl. Well, this is right alongside of Max fuel. So the Max fuel is 2 million times. Let me bring that back up for you. Reactor 3. That's the point of what we're doing here. See, that reactor there is right alongside, and right to it is Unit 4, and to the left is Unit 2. They're meltdowns completely. Unit 2. Unit 4, and let me run over to Unit 4 for you, is right alongside of the Unit 3, and the Unit 3 is Max fuel. This is 2 million times worse than any other reactor on the planet. Let me try digesting that. 2 million times worse than any other reactor on this planet. 2 million times worse. Do your math. It's 2 million times. Where's the 2? Do you see it? Where is the reactor? You know what I mean? The building is gone. Does that concern you? Should you even worry about that? Well, the fact that if number 4 is gone and it sets off Unit 3 again, it might have very well set off Unit 4 again. The webcam at TEPCO, they're putting up all these webcam pictures. These could be just recycled videos. It's not very hard. They got it into a 3-minute file format, and so they have an accident. Remember, Japan has a law where the journalists are not allowed to give away anything declared a state secret. Well, Fukushima is a state secret, as you well know if you paid any attention to this. And so you can't expect these people to come out and tell you anything. And this has always been the problem with nuclear accidents. And I got the history of nuclear on my site literally at this stage, where I done nuclear. It's volume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I still got one more volume left to do. And these are about an hour long each, and they cover altogether around 300 major accidents, 2,500 detonations, and all kinds of just horrible human experiments with radiation. One experiment with radiation, they gave 800 plus women that were pregnant at a hospital through Stanford University, injected them with radioactive material, cesium-137 and stuff like that, and dug up the corpses later when they died of cancer. Never told anybody. That's how maniacal this industry actually is. But what we're dealing with right now, and I looked at this video today. Let me see if I can find that. I got that there. I'll import it again if I got to it here right now. But that should have been right there, easy for me to find, unfortunately. Let me see what we got going to show up here.
A cheap, inexpensive powder that costs just pennies a dose.
You typically That's for cancer. I'll show up to that one later. I smurfed up. I can't find the video. I'm going to import it here. Hang on a second, folks. Hang on a second. I import it. See if that works for us anyway. Take me a second. And so you might get a little bit of stuttering for a second. And that should have been right there for me to grab. There's a 3-minute video. What did I do with the chopped up perversion? Hang on, almost there. Oh, Unit 4 fire, there we be. Hello. What do we got here? Let's play it. Yay. Hopefully that works on your end. Worked on my end really well. And so this is 20 times the normal speed. You see the plume coming from the right? That's building 4 you see there. So we think it's hemorrhaging out on the other side. At that point right there. You see the fire? See how it spread? Now that spread really fast. It looked like it just rose up there. But if you slow the video down 20 times, you'll see the fire move right across. And so it's not like a headlight moves. Everything keeps lighting up. So you can't even do that with a laser. You can't do that. You can only do that with like disco lights where you light up all the lights in a row and leave them all lit behind. So it'd be like you have to go there and actually do something weird to get that effect. And so that fire continues. And then the hemorrhaging of the radioactive, what we consider must be radioactive material, because you got fuel pools, storage pools there, then you got all those big drums that they're putting all the waste into. Think about what happened in the Techa River at the top of it. Okay, recycled. I'll jump over. This is out front coming up here after the tsunami. This is of Unit 4. This is the basement of Unit 4. And so this water, they sprayed that on Unit 3. Let me bring that up for a second. And, my goodness, I got too much here. Hang on. So this is Unit 3. So the stuff in the basement, that's Unit 4 you're looking at, they sprayed it in on Unit 3. And so that salt water was in the basement. Hang on. So let's play David Suzuki, what he said about Unit 4. Just one more second. I'll bring up Unit 4, give you one more quick look at it, because I know a lot of people are not familiar with this stuff. So that's Unit 4. Looks pretty good, eh? Want to move you and the family in there, put the kids in there. They got air conditioning, and they'll bury you on the nuclear waste site because you'll be so toxic. But listen to what David Suzuki said. Now, what he was doing, he was listening to all the experts. He was very candid. Somebody in the audience had an iPhone, which he knew was going to happen. And they put out this story of the importance of number 4. But there was a whole lot of other scientists at the same time. Now, he came out after and said that he went too far with what he was saying. That's because he got all that attention, right? Because that video went viral. So that's what he had to do. Here he is.
That the fear is, if there's another earthquake of a 7 or above, that building will go, and then all hell breaks loose. And the probability of a 7 or above earthquake in the next 3 years is over 95%. I have seen a paper which says that if, in fact, the 4th plant goes under an earthquake and those rods are exposed, it's bye-bye Japan, and everybody on the west coast of North America should evacuate. Now, if that isn't terrifying, I don't know what is.
Yeah, well, if that's not terrifying, when it's coming from someone like David Suzuki, now he was only mimicking what everybody else was saying about Building 4, which is what we're talking about tonight. What you got to do is you got to download the video below. You got to expand that to 20 times. And then you got to sit there and study that. And you got to come to your own conclusions. In that sense, I can't convince anybody of anything outside of the fact that I can explain things to you about what's going on, because the deception is endless out there. It's just endless. And let me see. Here's another one. I played this last night for you, but I'm going to play this again tonight. This is Japan. They done a model on number 2. The release of number 2. And here's number 2 coming up. Now that's number 2. So Japan had done a model on the releases from that. And this is important because I want you to remember that model till the day you die as being the equivalent of what we're talking about tonight, because it was based upon a single release from Unit 2 that you're looking at. And here comes the model anyway.
A new computer simulation shows how radioactivity is spread around the world. That simulation is based on the scenario in which contaminated air was vented from the disabled number 2 reactor building on March 14th, 3 days after the massive earthquake and tsunami. Computer images showed the radioactive material was lifted 5,000 meters into the air. It was then carried by westerly winds and spread over the Pacific Ocean. The images indicate that on the fourth day after being vented, the substances reached the west coast of the United States, and on the seventh day, they approached Iceland after crossing the Atlantic.
So on the seventh day, they approached Iceland after crossing the Atlantic. That was based upon a single release from Unit 2. And I just showed you the picture before that. But this is an aerosol equivalent. And so if there's a big release at Fukushima, like we are adamant about at this stage, because we can't find anything to the differ or anything that changes that equation, then we have to assume that the plume you're looking at right now is the same type that's coming towards us. But this plume you're looking at, for instance, is only based upon a 137 cesium man-made radioactive isotope model. Excuse me. It doesn't include 100 times more strontium-90, which is just as deadly. Excuse me again. You're not going to die of the cancer that's coming at you when you're walking down the street, hopefully. People will, though, because cesium goes right to your heart. And so some people that got heart problems and are walking down the road and ingesting these radioactive materials, like cesium will sequester right into your heart. And your organs and your muscles too, but it loves going right into the heart because your blood is pumping it everywhere because it's solutable water, so water and blood is able to carry it through your body more effectively. It doesn't mean, just because it's solutable into the water, doesn't mean it's lost its radioactivity. It meant that it can incorporate itself into the water and still be the most wickedest thing imaginable. Now you can see the disposition of this, the radioactive fallout, what that's going to be like. That's North Amerika. That's California, where you can see the big thick plume coming in there. The blue is Canada and America, Seattle. And so you got to realize that this is real. It's coming out of there anyway. But the fact that there's an accelerated and might be a total catastrophic event going on, and just like everywhere else when we had these events, they have never told us about it. Eventually they come out 3 or 4 weeks or months or years later and fess up. Well, this time you got to hold them accountable. This time you got to put their feet to the fire. That is your job. That is your obligation under your Magna Cartas, under your constitutions, and under your Bill of Rights, is to hold your government accountable, is to be the watchdog, is to be the guardian, is to be the checks and balances. Your job is not to be subservient. Your job is to be dominant. Your job is to be aggressive. Your job is to be assertive. Assertive. I like it. Because if you don't, then the monsters can't watch themselves. And we end up at this point where we get 7 decades of lies and manipulations and deceptions from the same people over and over and over and over. And I mean, look at what Martin from New York Times, a senior correspondent for the Asian, done that nuclear, and we played that last night. Let's play that.
My name is Martin Fackler. I am the Tokyo Bureau Chief. And the title, as we just heard, was Challenges and Opportunities After the Fukushima Nuclear Disaster, this crisis management. And the question of what do you tell your public? Do you tell them that there's a serious nuclear accident, or do you play it down? Do you try to cover it up?
Do you play it down? Do you try to cover it up? This is from a journalist, right? And I mean, they're not playing games. When you see that picture, that's playing it down. That's covering it up. What are they covering it up? Number 4. That's it there. It friggin' melted down and blew up. Okay? They went in and dropped boric acid over, for goodness sakes. That's the emittance that you can never get in there again. Okay, here we go again. I gotta expand this so I can read a little bloop. Unit 4 had major impulse sound, right? We left off on that one. Then damage to the roof on March the 14th. Now, that building has been in a heart attack ever since. That's the fuel pool. See that? Here's another shot of the fuel pool. This was taken from a remote drone that died, but they got these pictures out of it because it was sending it out, right? Here's a zooming in. So it looks like a pool, but when you zoom in on that, it's empty. Right? That's Unit 4, fuel pool, allegedly, from the drone. So we're using everything they got to try to source out what happens. And let me roll down the... okay, once again, here we go. This is NOAA's dispersal model of cesium-137. This is a 40-day model. You can see the countdown, hopefully. And I'm going to have to get these in here a lot higher quality for everybody. And now you can see the spread. This is around a minute long. So that spread is based upon a single release from Fukushima, from Unit 1. Now, Unit 4, obviously, according to Suzuki, who was listening to everybody, all the experts, it's so dangerous, there's 14,000 Hiroshima bombs worth on top of that roof. So the model you're looking at is minuscule. It's frig all compared to what's actually in Unit 4. They had emptied the reactor. The reactor had 3,450 fuel rods. That's or assemblies. Now each assembly has around 80 rods. The rods are 12 feet long, and they're about the thickness of your thumb. And a cubic centimeter of it, say, is about a gram of that uranium-238. Well, that produces more radioactive atoms than all the radioactive atoms and all the grains of sands and all the beaches on the planet combined. I had my earphones in. There's an echo because it's stupid Wirecast. But let's keep going. A gram not only produces more radioactive atoms than all the grains of sands and all the beaches on the planet. And by the way, British Columbia, Canada, where I'm to, has got 26,000 islands. It would take you, I can't remember, 71 years if you visit one island a day, if I remember. So, like, you couldn't, all these islands, 26,000 islands up here, are covered in beaches. I can't even imagine how many grains of sands we're talking about worldwide, right? And that's a gram. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of tons aerosoled. And if they had an event down there, and by the looks of the video earlier, let me jump off that, give everybody a break on that. Here's another one that came out. Unit 4 was a ticking time bomb, right? Remember this one, anybody? Well, Unit 4 is a ticking time bomb. They're not making that up. They're not fabricating that. They're just saying that. Another thing to remember, rather, is that the slower you spread radiation dose, the more effectively it produces cancer and inherited defects, autoimmune deficiencies. It causes and it fuels cancers too, right? The radiation. Because it's like getting an x-ray every second for the rest of your friggin' life. And so the more you ingest, the more x-rays you get every second for the rest of your life. So Japan is going about the very best way in the world of destroying the human race. This is April the 25th, 2012. I got another headline for you, though. Because you've seen that model of the world with all the radioactive fallout. Senior scientists, irreversible heart damage for children with 50 becquerels a kilogram of cesium-137. Well, you're allowed around 1,000 becquerels of cesium-137 in your food per kilogram. You're allowed, according to the new standards by the EPA that they never bother telling you about, but this is their standard now, that you're allowed to have 7,500 becquerels a cubic meter in your drinking water. Now, drinking water, say it's got 7,500 becquerels, which sounds really close, don't it? 7,400, 7,500 becquerels here, and 7,400 becquerels there. Potassium 40, that's natural, that's normal, that's harmless. And then if you drink it, you off-gas those becquerels, 7,500. But if you were to drink the 7,400 becquerel stuff, you would accumulate it. Which means you keep getting more and more, whereas with potassium 40 and bananas and stuff like that, you can't, your body can't hold anymore. So once again, the banana is nothing to worry about, unless you're bananas. But the banana becquerels, if you eat it, because everything's got radiation in it, and I have to apologize perpetually till the end of time about this, because the apologists are out there saying that, oh, don't worry about it, it's harmless like a banana. You get more radiation by eating a banana than you would from radioactive material from Fukushima. But the problem with that one, of course, is if you get any isotope, any radioactive particle, any radioactive atom out of Fukushima, and you ingest it, you get an X-ray for the rest of your life every second. If you eat the banana, you immediately off-gas the same amount of potassium-40. Your body can't hold anymore. It's harmless. It's in your clothing. It's in your blankets. It's in your hair. It's just natural. It's in everything on this planet. And we have to come out every night and apologize for that. Let me keep going on this stuff. Once again, inside of the building to your right, that's number 4. Mainstream media CBS says inside Fukushima number 4. So they're saying inside, that's a couple of months ago, they're saying that inside of that, and I've done a video about it on this site and called them out for it, they say that the roof inside to the left is natural, that's normal, that's what it looks like on the inside of the building on the right, which is building 1. Can you pick any sense out of that at all? So that was a cover story about building 4, see? See the fuel pool to the top left? That's that's what they're claiming is building 4. The one to your right, that's building 4. They never got down there and cleaned that out. The building below it, that's building 4. Yet they're saying, let me move up and show you another, in case you're just joining us and you don't understand what building 4 really truly looks like in a big capacity. It looks like that there. And so, once again, this headline tonight, second time tonight, April 15, 2011. The iodine-131 and number 4 pool suggested that a spent fuel has started its own chain reaction. This is something we heard many, many times in the last couple of years of number 4. We've heard just endless reports about number 4 because, number 4 is destroyed. And there is no way that that building inside of it is like that. And there's no way that it looks like that. The fuel pools don't look like that. The fuel pool we know looks like this. And you can never get in there because it's so toxic. It's so radioactive. It's mind-numbing that we got to come out here and do this. But we had an event around 36 hours ago. And so the jet streams at 100 miles an hour travels 2,400 miles. This stuff will make it up into the jet streams no matter what way the wind is blowing over there. It goes up. Once it goes up, it gets into different streams. And so once it gets up, and because these particles are much smaller than the particles from forest fires in the Asian Pacific countries that we have peer-reviewed studies showing the large particles from crossing the Trans-Pacific corridor and creating to your index of pollution in Nord Amerika and Canada. Not only that, just from the automobiles. These are great big particles. The particles we're talking about are little tiny particles. And once again, this is a really good way to look at it. This is based upon a single release out of Fukushima from a single reactor. And so whatever's coming out of Fukushima in the last 36 hours, and will probably perpetually pour out of there because it's 3 melter reactors down there anyway, has been perpetually coming out of there, is this every day anyway. But originally for the first year, this was non-stop. But they done these models just based upon a short release. And so then they had their model, they punched the numbers in, gave a short release, and then they followed the model. And you can see how fast it makes its way across the ocean, because at 100 miles an hour, because this stuff was ejected up 5,000 meters, and we got the other headlines there for 5 miles up ejections. Because you got to realize, once again, let me run back up and make sure everybody understands the very basics of Fukushima. You had an earthquake followed by a tsunami. They went in desperation because there was no power and the meltdowns were starting to happen, and dropped boric acid at the helicopters. 600 of Chernobyl's helicopter pilots died of cancer. They all died, every one of them. Everybody who flew a helicopter at Chernobyl. If you watch a video of Chernobyl, you see someone flying a helicopter, dropping reagents out of the helicopter, which is used to aggregate the radiation and drop it back down. They all died, 600 of them. We covered that here. That was covered by Harvard. or MIT, I can't remember. I put the video up on my site from March the 15th, 2011, where they actually had a press conference and the media ignored it. So Fukushima had 3 meltdowns and detonations at each of them. Once again, this is Unit 1. It detonated, 100% meltdown. Fuel pool is destroyed. Unit 2, 100% meltdown. Fuel pool destroyed. Unit 3, 100% meltdown. Fuel pool destroyed. Building missing. Fuel pool missing. Reactors ejected. The core was ejected from that reactor. That was MOX fuel. That was 2 million times worse than any other reactors, right alongside of Building 4. And this is Building 4, and this is what we're worried about. It's considered 14,000 Hiroshimas. Let me find that headline for everybody. Here we go. 14,000 Hiroshima bombs worth of cesium-137. That's why you're here tonight. Because you know something is bad, but you couldn't remember it, and you knew Dana would find it and get it out there for you. Right. And I'm just trying to lighten the load up a little bit. August the 14th, 2013. Corrosion is weak in Fukushima unit number 4 because they sprayed salt water in on it for the first couple of months. And that created all these sulfur peroxide, hydrogen, what's known as buckyballs. And this is a phenomenon where it picks up the radioactive particles and ingests into this spherical shape like a soccer ball. And it becomes like little nuclear engines at 1/10,000th of a millionth of a meter. But the corrosion is weakening, so you sprayed salt water in there, and so that corrodes immediately. And I showed you the clips here a few weeks ago from Harvard and Stanford, rather, talking about how they know within 2 weeks, if you sprayed salt water in those reactors, you would weaken everything there, right? The building number 4 is destroyed, right? So don't be surprised that fell over. But it doesn't look like that anymore. Hang on, I got a picture here what it looks like apparently. And I believe that's Unit 4. Right? And so what the structure you see there is meant to stabilize Unit 4 to stop it from crumbling. But see, you can't. You can't get inside that and stabilize the Unit 4 itself. So what they built there is a fabrication. They just dropped it in with cranes. There's nobody there. Nobody went in there and bolted anything on to what you're seeing there. What you're seeing there now is they're laying in one of the panels up there, and it drops. And because of the sheer weight, it hangs on. See? It's going down in the slots. This is all done by crane. You can't get in there. You're not going to see cutting torches. You're not going to see anything else. It's a fable. And that was a distraction. And that's why they rolled out SET CBS. Hang on, I'll bring up that picture. And that's why they rolled out these pictures here, right? So they put the structure around it, and then they got media to give you this fable, to tell you that lie, to deceive you, and just to get you to give it all up and walk away and not pay any attention to what was going on. And so once again, let's have a quick look at this. This is Unit 4 in the bottom left-hand corner. They're claiming the top one is the same building, and the right-hand side, of course, is the same building. Underneath my video, you're going to find links to TEPCO's website. You can download 2,000 pictures that the Fukushima 50 took. And there's tons of pictures there of Unit 4. I think there was something like 8 folders that you could just download those folders only, right? You have to open the folders up because they're zip files and put them in another folder, and then you can work with those pictures. But they're all there for you. This building is in heart attack mode, and we had an event down there. This is a serious freaking event. And we cannot sustain, and let me put that video back up for you. This is the video, and I cropped it. Now, the link below, and this one here is 20 times speed. You can see all the red racing across. When you slow that down 20 times, you'll see the progression of the fire, the progression, the height of the fire in relationships to building around it. The radioactive fallout you're looking at doesn't obscure the camera when you slow it down 20 times. So you can really analyze it like I did a lot better, and it makes more sense for you, right? Because what you just watched was 20 times speed. So imagine if this video was 20 times speed and you happen up on it and you try to watch and make sense of it, it wouldn't make much sense, would it? So you need to unpack the video 20 times. and then you can watch it. So it's 3 minutes condensed down into an hour. That is extraordinarily important. And so what you got to do is you got to look at the video before it too, and you got to look at the video after. So you got 3 hours at least of footage there that you got to look. I got to hunt through rather, looking for tidbits. Now they could have, once this happened, they could have had a backup plan where they upload old footage, right? Because they got the camera in the one spot, and so they, if there was no new construction in the area, then you could just use that footage, right? You see the fire racing across? Well, that's at 20 times speed. See, that's why it looks weird. But when you slow it down, it's frightening, the implications. It's not a great video. It's not high quality. It's not even, but it's got color, and there's the red, see? That's significant. Thank goodness it wasn't a black and white video cam, because you would never have seen that color, and you wouldn't even known it was there. It would have looked, right? So they screwed themselves when they done that one. But then again, I mean, you know, I don't think they make black and white webcams. But you can probably go in, yeah, well, you can go in and change the setting. Hey, Terry, you want to show me a tobacco stick there? I need this. My cigarettes don't have filters. My cigarettes don't have chemicals. There's 4,000 chemicals in your cigarette. And the filter, thanks, Terry. And the filter makes the particles get through the liners of your lungs a lot better because they're smaller. So that's another lesson to be taken away. Okay, let me get back on track, everybody, because I'll chatter. We're winding down. It's a short stream again tonight. I want to get a video out there. It's 46 minutes. Okay, yeah, so it's not a short video. Okay, so let me finish it up. Here we go. This is radioactive fallout from a single reactor at Fukushima. In March, from March 11 modeling. And it is nothing compared to the release you've just seen in that grainy video. I know it's grainy, but that's what we got to work with. We can't trust the system. The system right now, you know, Japan just got slaughtered yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and the next day. Again, destroyed. It's covered in radioactive material again. We don't know the carnage because Japan has a secrecy law. And so this plume that's coming out of there, my advice to everybody is duct tape up your windows, stay the friggin' doors, starting tomorrow afternoon for the next 4 days if you can. Avoid it. Avoid it at all costs. Don't turn on your air conditioners. Don't turn on your air exchangers. Start leaving your shoes outdoors. Start buying disposable sandals for the next couple of weeks and throw them away every day. Don't touch them with your hands. Stuff like that. You're going to have to, because the major contaminant is coming through. We got to assume the worst because we can't trust the system. This is what they should be telling you to do is, you know, if you go look through the 1960s and 70s videos, they would drive through the streets and say, there's radioactive fallout coming, everybody stay indoors for the next 3 days, which is terrifying anyway, because you don't want them having that control over you. But we have an event on this planet. And so you have to learn to eat healthy. You have to eat responsible. You have to stay away from genetically modified foods forever. You have to go out and learn to eat again. You can't eat anything with the words craft on it. You can't eat anything that's coming out of a supermarket in a package or in a can. You have to stay the frig away from wheats until you source out what kind of flour they use or what kind of material they use to make the bread with. There's other things you can use. And you have to change everything about your life. But most importantly, you have to get back in their faces. You have to get back in their faces. If you had 1 million people come out tonight and say, I want to know now. I want high quality shots now. I want independent in there now. That's what you would get. But because they know you're not going to do that, they don't fear you. They don't fear you because you never got back in their faces. They fear you getting in their faces. That's why they're trying to bring in this track, trace, and database routine to threaten you and intimidate you and try to marginalize you. Don't let that work. Don't let them stop you from speaking out. The most powerful thing on this planet is your voice. That is the most powerful thing. You might say, oh, I got a squeaky voice. Hey, have you heard mine lately? It's the most squeakiest thing out there. Don't let that stop you. That's not a hindrance. The fact that you've never made a video in your life is not a hindrance. Just do an audio with a picture. Get someone to show you. Call up one of your friends if you feel you could do it. Encourage somebody who knows how to do it to do it. get back in their face. That's the only option we got, and start the process of dealing with the future. This is a massive release. Remember what they were saying was up in Unit 4? This is why Unit 4 is so important. 14,000 Hiroshima bombs. That's minimum. Released at the one time into your environment by the most evil entity on the planet, the most maniacal, twisted, demented. I'm just not going to swear tonight because I want this video to get out to people so they actually got a concept and know how to fight back, know how to argue back. Remember, a banana got nothing to do with it. It's homeostasis. Look it up and read about it. It's very short. You can't get any more potassium 40 in your body you already got. So anytime you hear anybody say the words bananas, walking in the sunshine, getting an x-ray, they are lying. They are maniacal. They are to be feared. You need to call them out. You need to phone in. You need to do whatever it takes to get back in their face. I'm not saying violent. I'm not saying that. I'm saying hold them accountable. I mean, call them out. Let them know that you are not happy that they're lying, that they're manipulating. Call up the university where they got their education. When they roll out over the next couple of days with apologies, lying about Fukushima, you got to look up these people. See if you can get their number, get their Facebook, get their Twitter, get back in their face. Right? You're the power. Right? You're the power. You are the power if you choose to be. You can change this for the better by starting the process now. Unit 4, 14,000 Hiroshimas. Look, Japan done it. Hundreds of thousands of them came out and said, we don't want nuclear power no more. Guess what? They don't got nuclear power anymore. Okay? They shut all those reactors down because these people stood up. You do the same. Right? You will. I know you will. That's why I love you. Sends hugs out to everybody. And we'll catch everybody again tomorrow. Not so intense. But I mean, I'm going to try to come up with as much as I can by tomorrow. Flush out a couple more of those videos. Get those clips. Import that stuff. It's been non-stop now. I won't stop for days now. I won't get any sleep. I won't get any rest. I got to source this out myself because I can't trust the system. And you shouldn't either. But you have to get back in their faces, okay? I'll catch you folks tomorrow night. That's all I got. Take care, folks. Oh, I'm going to make me do an encore. Well, what do we give them for an encore? Let's give them an encore if that's what they want. YouTube wants an encore. Hang on. Let's find an encore for YouTube.
My name is Martin Fackler. I am the Tokyo Bureau Chief. And the title, as we just heard, was Challenges and Opportunities After the Fukushima Nuclear Disaster, this crisis management. And the question of what do you tell your public? Do you tell them that there's a serious nuclear accident, or do you play it down? Do you try to cover it up?
Yeah, well, they're going to try to cover it up. Don't let them do that, folks. Make a tweet, make a Facebook post, make a video, make a blog, make a telephone call a radio station, call a TV station. Don't take no for an answer, right? Be persistent, be nice, be polite. But you have every right in the world to do that. That is your responsibility, okay? You are obligated to do that. And we'll catch you folks tomorrow night. Take care.